Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric Navas, and we're going to do UBF History, Chapter 0, Part 2. This is the second missionary letter Sarah sent to the Presbyterian Church. This was made in May 28th, 1956. Here's the original one. Here's the transcript. Transcript is here as well. Okay, let's begin. Dear friends, have you ever tried seaweed soup for breakfast? Except for the fact that it looks and tastes like seaweed. It's really very good. I've been with the Lees, a Korean family, for nearly 2 months now. It has been a worthwhile experience in every way. The seaweed soup even probably has vitamins in it. Sitting here on the floor, I can hear all kinds of interesting sounds drifting from the outside. From the house next door, I can hear the rhythmic drum-like beat of ironing sticks as someone does the family ironing in the old Korean way. In the street outside, I can hear the click-clack sound of the candy man as he advertises his wares by opening and shutting the big shears with which he cuts the candy. Being able to quote-unquote hear Korea helps one understand her people a little better. Being a part of the Lee family has been a fun experience too. They are a real Christian family. During the past years, the Lord has miraculously preserved Mrs. Lee's life. She faced death at the hands of the Japanese, and because she boldly testified to the fact that she was a Christian, 3 times the communists almost killed her. Now, in addition to rearing 3 children in the quote, nurture and admonition of the Lord, end quote, she is attending night seminary and will graduate next year. I came to Seoul on April 9th for 2 months of language school. I had thought, as far as language study is concerned, it would be profitable to live with a Korean family, but the possibility of being able to do so seemed remote. I put the whole matter in the Lord's hand, and I don't believe I've ever seen so clearly his directing of a situation. He opened the door of the Lee home without my doing more than writing a letter of inquiry to some friends here in Seoul. Excuse me. Here, I've not only been able to hear the language spoken every day and to learn something about Korean customs, but I've also had the privilege of getting to know some very fine Christian people. In addition to going to language school, I've been teaching an English Bible class 1 hour a week. Let me share with you the rather unusual way in which the Lord opened his particular door opportunity. One Saturday night, I was invited out to dinner with some Korean friends. As we were eating, we hear the roar of a mob of people outside, so we rushed to the window to see what was happening. That morning, the president's leading opponent in the election had dropped dead from a heart attack. The people in the street, his supporters, were carrying his body and a huge picture of him, and were planning to attack the president's home, directly across the street from the home in which I was visiting. The police stopped the riot by first shooting into the air, then into the crowd. We had ringside seats for the whole affair. In fact, we were almost in the ring. As soon as things quieted down, I started home. My host and hostess had planned to take me home, but the police had blocked off the area and were allowing no one to come in. So had they taken me home, they couldn't have gotten back. As I walked down the street, little groups of people were standing with their hands in the air, being searched by police. I finally got to a place where traffic was moving and got on the first streetcar that came along. As I looked around to try to figure out where the streetcar was and where it was going, the man standing next to me asked in English if he could help me. He turned out to be a Christian newspaper reporter and took me right to my door. On the way home, he asked me to teach the Bible class. The students seemed to be really interested in learning the Bible as well as in learning English. Isn't it amazing the way the Lord can turn a bad situation to an opportunity for service? Your prayers for these students as We'll ask for all of our work here is appreciated. If the work here is fruitful, your prayers are necessary. Sincerely, Sarah Berry. Okay, so I actually edited this. So I originally thought this was the founder's family, but this was not the case. It's not mentioning of C.W. Lee or anyone like that. So that was my mistake on my part. That's what I assumed, but there was no evidence for that. So, like, it changes. It's not the future founder Lee. So what's very interesting to note is that Barry makes it seem like Lee is the very example of a Christian household, without mentioning other Christians, regardless whether they're in Korea or anywhere else in the world. I wonder who was that newspaper reporter and which newspaper worked for. So the reporter, let alone the newspaper, is never mentioned again, to my knowledge. Yeah, but in the future mission reports, he's never brought up again. So I don't think everything she says here is a flat out lie, but I think some stuff here has been exaggerated. Right? What's very interesting to note in this one is that Sarah Berry does a 180, because in the first mission report she sent to the Presbyterian Church, she basically labeled Koreans as inferior, but now she's saying that they're not inferior. Yeah. Right? But still, you can see a little bit of the degrading right here. Being able to hear Korea helps one understand her people a little bit better. Right? Now you can refute that. You can play devil's advocate and say that's not degrading them, but I digress. And what's very interesting to note is that here, one of them is actually going to a seminary school, but yet Sarah Berry does not criticize her at all for it. In fact, she seems to, it's implied that she kind of advocates for it. This is very interesting. This is written back before UBF was officially founded. But later on, we come to see that, despite the fact that Sarah Berry herself went to seminary school, and she had witnessed, and she lived with a family who went to a seminary school, but later she would advocate against it. Right? And my theory behind that is the whole knowledge is power thing with all cults, but into that, right? She later says here, but also have the privilege to gain to know some very fine Christian people, right? So even though the hostess, Miss Lee, went to seminary school, she's considered a fine Christian person. But yet, if anyone else were to nowadays go to seminary school, they're not. Sarah Berry and UBF would not say the same thing. Just something interesting to note of. So it seems like she's actually trying to get accustomed to the Korean lifestyle. And this is like post-Korean War. The Korean War is from 1950 to 1953, I believe. And this is 1956, so this is when the time it took. Right? And that's pretty much it for this one. Right? So, questions, comments, or anything you want to add, leave in the comment section down below. And until next time.